Hey everyone! Is anyone out there? I am going live. Hello, hello. This is Josie with Emotional Wisdom, and it's been a while since I came on here. So I'm excited to jump on here and talk about how it is to no longer abandon yourself when you are in pain. Like when our parents abandoned us when we were struggling emotionally. What do you mean, Josie? Let me go into, break it down just a little bit more while I'm having people log in. It's totally random. I did not announce that I was going to come on here, but I feel called to come on here. One of my sessions got rescheduled, and I just got off the phone with a client who was reliving a trigger, and I felt called to express to people how it looks like to be no longer abandoning you whenever you're feeling emotional distress. Why is this important? Why is it important to not abandon yourself when you are feeling emotional turmoil, emotional discomfort? And how does that even look like? How does it even look like? Or when do you abandon yourself and have become your parents and how they used to treat you when you were little? For example, when you were little and you were suffering emotional distress and you did not know how to regulate your emotions, we tend to function in frustration. We feel frustrated. We then have tantrums as children because we don't know how to regulate our emotions. Well, that annoys our parents, right? Majority of the time, it is an annoying trait. Unfortunately, the child doesn't know how to regulate their emotions, so they're only responding from how their body is wanting to respond. We then deem it as bad. We deem it as parents as, it's annoying, it's frustrating, it's embarrassing, and it's bad. It's bad that my child is operating like this. And then we reflect it onto the child by shaming the child. Don't do that, you're bad, you're crying for no reason. Gaslighting the child at that. You're gaslighting the child when the child is genuinely suffering emotional distress and doesn't know how to process it. So then the child believes and starts feeling as if something's wrong with them. So then they feel shame and that rejection that they're experiencing from the parent starts storing in the body. They then start creating stories, or whenever they're older, they start putting a story to these unresolved emotional blockages or undeveloped emotions, right? We then grow up seeing as emotions as bad, right? Seeing as something's wrong with us whenever we don't have a grip of our emotions. Although no one taught us how to regulate our emotions, no one sat with our emotions, no one ever explained to us what they really do mean, right? So we then grow up treating ourselves the same way our parents treated us. Shaming ourselves. There's an aspect within our system, the mom, the dad, within us, we create a mom and we create the dad for our system to function. And we create parents within us that have to reprimand us, shame us whenever we're feeling emotional or triggered or frustrated, we then become our own critic, and we are now condemning and punishing and reprimanding ourselves so we can get better, so we can, get with a program, if you will, and be right and not be wrong. That is the terrible thing to do. That is like the worst thing to do and the worst way to approach you. As if you are the problem and you need to get over it whenever you're feeling distress. But truth of the matter is, that's how our parents reflected back to us. They reflected back annoyance when we would respond emotionally. They would reflect back to us like we were a burden, annoying, embarrassing, frustrating, depending on how intense we would exhibit these emotions within us, or these unregulated emotions. So, going back to the topic, as I mentioned earlier, that the way you abandon yourself and you've now become your parents, condemning you, punishing you, and isolating you, is whenever you're feeling emotional and you are frustrated that you're emotional, or that you're angry that you're emotional, you're irritated that you're emotional. And now you are at war with yourself, condemning yourself for feeling. You've now become all over again your parents. Oh, those authority figures that shamed you for feeling and not knowing how to regulate your emotions. So you're stuck in this vicious cycle, only feeling more shame for feeling emotional, confused. And when you're shaming yourself for feeling emotional or confused, lost, if you will, you then want to distract yourself to feel better. You want to call a friend, go out, go drinking, do drugs, any coping mechanism you try to do so you can escape the feeling. Well, that method of coping and doing something else other than feeling how you're feeling and being present with yourself is abandoning yourself. And the irony of this is that we then want our friends to be present with us. We then complain that our friends are not good listeners. They're not there for us. We then want to blame people outside of ourselves that they're not being good friends, that our husband's not being a good husband, that our wives are not being a good wife, that our children, our parents' voice turns out to be our inner voice. Indeed, Naomi, yes. So then we are wanting to blame everyone outside. It's my children that are getting me here. It's my children that are just getting me to this place. And we're blaming people, when in all actuality, we are not even being with ourselves. It begins with the way we're treating ourselves. We're annoyed with ourselves because we were taught to get annoyed with ourselves by our parents. And so we don't even want to be with ourselves, yet we are complaining why no one is paying attention to us or comforting us or making us feel better, while we're not wanting to do that for ourselves. There's a problem there. It is not cliche when they say it first begins with you. It is not cliche. It is the fact. It is fact. You cannot receive what you're not giving yourself. You actually believe that you're the problem, and wouldn't be surprised if people outside of you kind of treat you like you're too much, because that's the way ultimately you're treating yourself. So it begins with you by you choosing to be with your uncomfortable emotions without judgment. Just be present. So how does that look like, Josie? Because my mind tells me all these stories, though. If I'm with myself in my body, I'm going to go into depression, because and I'm not going to be able to come out of it. It's because you're listening to your mind and the stories it's telling you. That's why you tend to even go deeper into an emotional, spiral, more in pain or in depression, and because you're actually honoring the stories you're telling yourself. But if you were to do this, yes, I'm going to give you the biggest nugget ever. If you're feeling uncomfortable emotionally, sink into your body and feel where the sensation is attached to that emotion. There's always a sensation, and I sound like a broken record, but there's always a sensation attached to that emotion. Always, whether it be in the stomach, you're going to feel stomach pain whenever you're feeling sad, depressed, or you get triggered, or someone hurts your feelings. Oh, I feel it in the stomach. I feel nauseous. Or in the chest, or in the eyes, or in the throat. But you're going to feel it somewhere. The moment that you consciously choose to feel how you're feeling, and you tell yourself, I am choosing to not run away from me. I am choosing to be present with me unconditionally. I am choosing to feel what I'm feeling. You are now no longer abandoning you. Now you're treating yourself with love, with acceptance, and you're being present for yourself. Something our parents never did for us, right? Because that's too much. They didn't know any better. But you're now, by you being with yourself, choosing to feel the very uncomfortable emotions and sensations in the body. But the moment you choose to do that, and your whole being notices that you're no longer running away, occupying, distracting yourself, you will feel this sense of relief. Almost like your emotions are not bigger than you. That you're actually bigger than your emotions. You start realizing oh wow, that felt good. Yeah, because you're now finally being there for you. That's how that feels. That is how it looks like in application form. You being there for you first looks like whenever you're in pain emotionally, you feel your emotions. You don't distract yourself. You don't cope, and you don't drink. You don't do drugs. You don't go off and get distracted with friends or whatever. Watch a movie. Yes, even watching a movie is a distraction. I know so many people, whenever they're feeling sad, they're like, oh, let me watch a good movie so they can escape their reality. And if watching a movie is funner than being in your reality, then something's up. Then you don't have that happy life that you may think you have. That's another subject. That's another story. People that say living their best life, but it requires them needing to be somewhere else or doing something. But living their best life is not when they're just with themselves. That should be one of your signs that you're not really living your best life. If you're needing a distraction for you to feel like you're living your best life. But anyway, let's get basic here. And the basic thing here is that it starts with you. Don't abandon you. We all want connection. We all want to feel supported, heard, and validated. And if you're that person that you're not feeling heard, validated, supported by those around you, you now need to look into yourself. Don't blame those outside of you. Look into you. How do I respond with myself whenever I get triggered? Whenever I get emotional? Whenever I get hurt? Whenever I'm in pain? How do I treat myself? Do I run away by watching a movie? Do I run away by drinking? Do I run away by hanging out with my friends? If you run away to distract yourself, then you are only treating yourself the way others are treating you. You're setting the tone. Actually, you're vibrating in a match to those that are not giving you attention, love, and priority, or support, even for that matter, simple support. And you're still operating in the loop of how your parents treated you. You're treating yourself like that without you realizing you are your parents. You are that caretaker that wasn't present for you or made it okay when you were feeling sad, depressed, or when you were feeling just emotions and you just didn't know how to regulate them. For example, I said this earlier, but when a child do tantrums, well, let me share with you guys. Tantrums is a legit response whenever a child does not know how to regulate their emotions. Legitimately, the child needs to do over-the-top things to feel in control, because they feel like they don't have a sense of control with themselves, in themselves. So they're doing extra to feel in control, to regulate their emotions. And instead of someone helping us regulate our emotions, and I get it, parents, we didn't have the recipe. I sure as hell don't have the recipe to properly parent. But because I'm not even a parent myself, I'm only a dog mom, but even then I get frustrated. So right there, I'm able to look at myself like, oh, okay, I don't have the patience for this. But anyway, back to the child. Here we shame our child for getting a tantrum, when in all actuality, the child really just doesn't know how to regulate what they're feeling. They feel so out of control. They feel out of control that they're now exhibiting it in a drastic way. So we're ultimately that little girl right now as an adult. So as adults, if you feel a lot, if you're a feeler and you're just like, God, I feel so much, I intensely feel, and it's hard sometimes because I feel so profoundly, so deeply, and it's hard. If that's you, then you're still that little girl that felt so much when she was 3, 4, 5, and no one helped her regulate. And if you shame yourself for feeling deeply and for getting hurt and feeling sensitive, why am I so sensitive? Why do I feel like a victim? If you blame yourself for feeling that, instead of seeking to understand yourself, then you're the perpetrator. Yeah, you're now the perpetrator abusing you. So if right now you are feeling emotional, close your eyes and see where in the body you feel the emotion. Where in the body is the sensation of that emotion? And just feel. Know that the mind's going to tell you stories because you've been fueling it to operate like that. But lovingly say, mind, you've got us into this place. Our mind now has turned into toxicity. So mind, let us be in the body so we can regulate, so we can give ourselves the missing experience, so we can process what has not been processed. You will benefit from this too. Tell this the mind. You will benefit from this too. Because I don't want you to treat your mind being that it is your enemy either. I don't want you to feel like your mind is your enemy. No. We're guiding our whole system how to be in harmony. So going back to, if you're in pain, sink into the body and feel where in the body the emotion is being manifested in sensation form, and feel. And then envision that sensation in your body where it's manifesting. For example, you feel rejected by a friend. You close your eyes and replay the trigger of rejection. Or if you're feeling it now, feel where in the body is the rejection also speaking through. In other words, are you feeling it in your heart? Is there like pressure in your heart? So, in other words, I just felt rejected by my friend. So what do I feel in my body? I feel a heaviness in my chest. Well, that means that's where you store rejection and pain of rejection. So just be with that area. Envision that area of your body being a child that never got its emotion regulated of whenever it felt rejected, and never had the presence, the resolution, the comfort, the support. And right now is your opportunity to give yourself that support by being present with it. Just simply do that. Simply do that until you're starting to feel a sense of relief. Breathe in and out. Don't forget to breathe in and out. But very important, just sink into the chest, for example, and just breathe in and out and share, I am not abandoning you anymore. You're no longer alone. I'm here. And just feel until you feel relief. Hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully you apply this. Trust me, it changes your life if you become a master in doing this. It will change your life like you have no idea. It will first of all give you internal relief. And secondly, you'll be able to look at your family in different eyes. And you'll realize that they were giving you support all along. Again, I repeat, you will then realize that they were giving you support all along. You just couldn't feel it because you weren't giving it to yourself. That's the truth of the matter. With all the love and full acceptance, Josie.